The world is full of stories of crime and punishment, but what about those times when the justice system fails us? This collection of stories explores the disturbing phenomenon of criminals who, despite their heinous acts, manage to evade significant punishment or even go completely free. We will delve into cases of murder, cannibalism, and serial killings, where the law seemed powerless to hold the perpetrators accountable. Prepare to be shocked and horrified as we examine these chilling tales of injustice.
Horror history.
Karla Tanzler, a hospital worker, and Elena de Hoyos, a captivating young woman. Tanzler was smitten the moment he saw Elena. Tanzler proposed, but Elena denied due to his old age. But their love story took a dark turn when Elena fell ill with a deadly disease. Even death couldn't sever Tanzler's bizarre obsession. Imagine this: Tanzler, under the cover of night, retrieves Elena's body from the grave. Using a concoction of wires, plaster, and wax, he mummified her remains, transforming her corpse into a macabre centerpiece for his home. For an astonishing 7 years, Tanzler lived with his dead bride, dressing her up, replacing decaying bits and pieces, yikes, and even puts a paper tube between her legs as a makeshift vagina. He wasn't letting mortality get in the way of his romance. One fateful night, Tanzler's neighbors spotted him waltzing with his dearly departed, and significantly less lively, partner. The jig was up. However, the laws just weren't equipped to handle such a bizarre situation. The charges against Tanzler were dropped, leaving him a free man, albeit one forever marked by his chilling obsession. Tanzler never gave up on his twisted love. He even requested Elena's actual body from her family, who, understandably, refused. In the end, Tanzler settled for a life-sized wax replica, living out his days with a reminder of his one, very unusual love. Forget paintbrushes and palettes, Rick Gibson's medium is a lot more unsettling. This performance artist thrives on shocking the public with a truly unique and stomach-churning. In 1988, Gibson's art took a disturbing turn. Picture this: a busy marketplace, buzzing with shoppers. Suddenly, Gibson appears, not with a canvas, but with a human tonsil on a cracker. Yes, you read that right. He then proceeds to munch on it, all while wearing a sign declaring himself a cannibal. Now that's one way to get attention. A year later, Gibson decided tonsils were tame. This time, he upped the ante with sliced human testicles, publicly devouring them near a London clock tower. The twist? In England, there's no specific law against cannibalism. As long as Gibson obtained the body parts legally, the authorities were powerless to stop him. The legal system might not have been able to touch him, but the public wasn't having it. When Gibson attempted his next performance, publicly squishing a live rat for a macabre painting, a vigilante mob chased him off, saving the poor rodent. In the period of the 1960s and 1970s, Father Mario Cimmarrusti emerged as one of the most heinous perpetrators in the Catholic clergy S.X.A.U. scandal. His actions were nothing short of despicable, as he preyed upon innocent victims under the guise of religious authority. Cimmarrusti involved luring his victims away from others, claiming that he needed to examine their genitalia. This was merely a facade for his vile intentions, as he would proceed to spank them and force their faces into his groin area. To ensure their silence, he would threaten and humiliate them. What made this situation even more appalling was, other priests were aware of Cimmarrusti's actions, yet they chose to remain complicit bystanders, simply walking away without intervening. In 1992, the victims finally found the courage to come forward and expose Father Cimmarrusti. However, the monstrous priest did not deny the accusations. In fact, during a psychological examination, he confessed to having used over 250 individuals. Unfortunately, due to the statute of limitations, he faced no legal consequences. Despite his heinous actions, Father Cimmarrusti lived out the rest of his life in freedom. He passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 82 in 2013. All the victims involved in this are males, and the ages between. Imagine a world where the wealthy could indulge their darkest curiosities. In 1890, James Sligo Jameson, heir to the famed Jameson whiskey, embarked on an expedition to the Congo. While the mission was officially a humanitarian effort, whispers followed of a fascination with a horrifying practice, cannibalism. These whispers weren't unfounded. Jameson reportedly spoke of it incessantly, his macabre interest a grim stain on his lavish lifestyle. Upon arrival, fueled by a twisted desire, Jameson offered a paltry exchange of 6 handkerchiefs to a tribe. In return, a 10-year-old girl. The scene that unfolded next chills the blood. Through a translator, Jameson presented the girl as a gift to a cannibalistic tribe, his wish clear, to witness the unthinkable. The details are nightmarish, the girl bound, the glint of knives, the slow, agonizing demise. All the while, Jameson, the whiskey heir, documented the horror in watercolors, his artistic talent forever tainted by his barbarity. News of the atrocity eventually leaked. Jameson, unfazed, defended himself in the press. However, his defense was a chilling testament to his depravity. He didn't deny the act, only claiming his sketches were drawn from memory, not witnessed firsthand. A technicality in the face of such inhumanity. The Jameson Company has understandably buried this dark chapter of its history. Jameson's actions stand as a stark reminder of the depravity that can lurk behind wealth and privilege. Imagine you're on a long bus ride, minding your own business, when a stranger suddenly turns violent. Not just any kind of violent, but a horror movie come-to-life kind of violent. That's the nightmarish reality passengers faced on Greyhound Bus 1170 in 2008. Vince Lee, a man grappling with schizophrenia, a chronic brain disorder, unleashed a brutal attack on Tim McLean, a fellow passenger. The details are disturbing, like decapitation and cannibalism that left everyone scarred. Here's the twist: less than a decade later, Lee walked free. No prison sentence, no bars. Canada's mental health system deemed him no longer a threat and released him unconditionally. Think about that. The man responsible for such a shocking crime is now your neighbor, maybe even the guy walking his dog down the street. And there's no guarantee he's taking the medication that keeps his illness in check. This case raises chilling questions about mental health and public safety. Is a complete and total release ever truly the answer, especially for such extreme cases? Tim McLean's mother's words speak volumes. The silence of a justice system that failed to deliver true peace for the victim's family. In 1998, a small town in Arkansas witnessed a horror that would forever scar a generation. 2 boys, barely teenagers, orchestrated a massacre at West Side Middle School. Mitch Johnson, 13, and Andrew Golden, 11, armed themselves with a chilling arsenal and unleashed a nightmare on unsuspecting students. But this wasn't a random act. Johnson had a disturbing history, having previously gotten away with molesting a toddler. This raises a chilling question. Did the justice system fail these children, and tragically, others, by not intervening strongly enough? The aftermath was a twisted form of justice. Due to their age, they were sentenced to a slap on the wrist, juvenile detention until they were 21. Ironically, the younger Golden served longer than Johnson. This case highlights a potential flaw in the system: is protecting young offenders truly served by leniency, especially when such violent tendencies are displayed? Johnson's post-release life is a revolving door of arrests. Golden, on the other hand, remains a ghost in the system. These two stand as a stark reminder of a system that may be failing to address the root causes of youth violence, leaving communities vulnerable and victims yearning for true accountability. William Seabrook, the man who practically invented the pop culture zombie, had a darkness lurking beneath his adventurous exterior. Obsessed with the occult, he wasn't just content with writing about voodoo zombies, he craved the real thing. His quest for the ultimate thrill took him to West Africa, where he hounded a tribal chief to let him partake in a cannibalistic ritual. But the joke was on him: the human flesh turned out to be gorilla. Undeterred, Seabrook took a detour into serious creepiness. Back in the civilized world, he somehow convinced a hospital worker friend to score him some human remains. Then, in a dinner party so bizarre it would make your hair curl, Seabrook served up human flesh to his unsuspecting guests. While technically not illegal, the act speaks volumes about his fascination with the macabre. But cannibalism wasn't his only disturbing fixation. Seabrook's private life involved chaining up his wives and mistresses, subjecting them to whippings and humiliation. The line between eccentric and outright dangerous blurs here. Despite his disturbing behavior, Seabrook managed to escape legal repercussions. His actions, while morally reprehensible, existed in a strange gray area of the law. Imagine this: a predator stalks the Andes Mountains, not a puma or a jaguar, but a human one. This is the story of Pedro Lopez, also known as the Monster of the Andes, whose crimes are so horrific they seem like something out of a nightmare. For over a decade, young girls vanished without a trace. Poverty and lack of resources made these disappearances seem like everyday tragedies. But then, a shocking discovery in 1980 sent shivers down everyone's spine. A mass grave unearthed the truth, the work of a serial killer. Enter Pedro Lopez. He confessed to a staggering number, over 300 murders. The brutality of his crimes, abductions, rapes, and strangulations, left everyone speechless. Sentenced to 16 years, many thought this was a slap in the face of justice for such a monstrous killer. But here's the even more disturbing part. Lopez served only 14 years for good behavior. Released early, he was sent to a mental health facility in Colombia. Incredibly, after just 3 years, he was deemed cured and set free. Freedom, however, proved fleeting. Lopez vanished almost immediately, suspicion falling on him for another murder. The monster of the Andes was back on the loose. And that's where the story gets chilling. Lopez's whereabouts remain a mystery. Did he continue his reign of terror? Is he still out there? The answer is terrifyingly unknown. Canada's dark underbelly hides a story that's equal parts disturbing and unsettling. Enter Karla Homolka and Bernardo, a seemingly perfect couple dubbed the Barbie and Ken killers for their good looks that masked a horrifying truth. Their twisted partnership began with an act of unimaginable evil. Homolka drugged her own younger sister, a teenager, and offered her to Bernardo as a deranged wedding present. They raped and murdered her, filming the atrocity, a monstrous act that marked the beginning of a reign of terror. More young women fell victim to their depravity. Homolka became an accomplice, actively participating in the abduction, torture, and murder of these innocent girls. Their crimes were documented, a chilling testament to their sadistic cruelty. Justice, however, wasn't served equally. Bernardo received a life sentence, a fitting punishment for his monstrous actions. Homolka, however, struck a plea deal. Confessing to her role in 3 murders, she served only 12 years, a sentence that outraged the nation. In 2005, Homolka walked free. She married, had children, and settled into a quiet town. But the shadow of her past looms large. Her children, completely innocent, now attend a local public school. Imagine the burden they carry, the knowledge of their mother's crimes, the whispers and stares from those who know. Homolka may have served her time, but the true cost of her actions extends far beyond bars. This story raises a chilling question. Can true evil ever be redeemed? And what about the innocent souls forever scarred by the ripple effects of such monstrous acts? The City of Lights has witnessed many horrors, but none perhaps as disturbing as the case of Issei Sagawa. This seemingly ordinary man harbored a dark secret, a cannibalistic desire that would culminate in a crime so unthinkable, it would leave the world speechless. In 1981, Sagawa's twisted urges manifested. Luring a classmate to his Parisian apartment, his hospitality turned monstrous. He shot her, then engaged in a chilling act of butchery, consuming parts of her flesh. This wasn't just murder, it was a descent into the macabre. Caught disposing of her remains, Sagawa confessed, his words dripping with depravity. I killed her to eat her flesh. Justice, however, took a horrifying turn. The French courts deemed him insane, unfit for trial. He was sent back to Japan, but a legal technicality emerged. France, considering the case closed, wouldn't share crucial documents. With no evidence to prosecute, Japan had no choice but to release Sagawa. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a mockery of justice. Sagawa, a free man, became a twisted celebrity. Interviews and books glorified his crime, a sickening exploitation of tragedy. And most disturbingly, he remained unrepentant, openly admitting his desire to kill and cannibalize again. Sagawa's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within seemingly ordinary people. It's also a stark example of how legal loopholes can leave true evil unpunished. The question lingers: how do we ensure justice prevails in the face of such unimaginable horror? Comment below on which criminal deserves more punishment and share your thoughts about the justice system. If you learned anything new, please like and subscribe to get more content like this. Until then, see you in the next one.